The Carolina Hurricanes are off on Tuesday night, but hey, after having a great month of March where you get 11 wins, you know what? Take all the rest you need because the month of April is going to be absolutely insane. Because let's face it, you got 9 games left before it's time for the playoffs.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. Also do some AHL coverage over at the Calder Times. Even doing some baseball at SB Nations covering the corner. I'm also the host of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a terrific Tuesday episode for you as we get to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes month of March, where they went 11-3-0. Also talk about Mark Jankowski as he joins some really good company, scoring 7 goals in his first 10 games of the Carolina Hurricanes. And I know on Monday's show we heard from Seth Jarvis after the win on Sunday against the New York Islanders. Well, we get to hear from his line mate, the guy who was part of that 2024 connection, and it'll be Sebastian Aho getting his thoughts after the win. But before we jump into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONAHL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, the Carolina Hurricanes, had a great February to start the year off. 11 wins, you like to see it. And then February wasn't the greatest. Only got 2 wins of the entire month, but they only had 7 games. It was just weird how that kind of whole month broke down. But hey, you get a great bounce back in the month of March. You go and secure 22 out of a possible 28. Not bad at all. You go 11-3-0. So that's a way you really want to bounce back for the Carolina Hurricanes, especially now where they're at, where they are in a battle for the number 2 seed. Because as of right now, the Hurricanes have played the same amount of games as the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they have them on points percentage. Well, they have them in points percentage, even though they have the same amount of points because the Hurricanes have played 1 less game than Toronto. So as of right now, if the playoffs started today, the Hurricanes would have the basically home ice advantage through the Eastern Conference outside of Washington, but the Hurricanes are also 5th in the entire NHL. So outside of Washington, the only 3 teams that if they face in the Stanley Cup final would have home ice advantage against them would be the Jets, the Stars, and the Vegas Golden Knights. But the Hurricanes might have a shot at least catching Vegas. So, like I said, if it started today, the Hurricanes would be in a great spot to where, outside of 3 teams in the West and the Washington Capitals, they will have home ice. So that's why they're definitely a month like March where you go 11-3-0. That really sets you up for a good opportunity to give yourself the better seed going into the playoffs, and you're able to get a home ice advantage depending on who you're facing. So this is the second time in franchise history the team has won 11 games in March. The last time they did it, how about last season in 2023-24, where they went 11-3-1? They played 1 more game, got an extra point for an overtime shootout loss, but the fact that they almost went exactly the same back-to-back years, yeah, safe to say the month of March is a very good month for the Carolina Hurricanes because now you get through the month. Like I said, you get 22 points out of a possible 28. Now you're really setting yourself up to – you basically are almost locked in for the second spot in the match. You're still waiting to clinch the playoff spot. But you're going to make your 7th playoff appearance in a row under the Rod Brind'Amour era. And most likely we're going to be playing the New Jersey Devils because unless they go on a monumental collapse and the Jackets go on a run, it's going to be Carolina and New Jersey again. But for the fact that you look at the whole history of the team before the Rod Brind'Amour era, you're talking 5, maybe 6 playoff appearances total before 2018-19. And now ever since Rod took over, you're going for 7 straight. Months like these, is what really separates a good team from a great team, and you want to get hot at the right time, and this is where you want to get hot, to where, like I said, you got 11 games won in March. You only lost 3 in regulation. Only one of them was really bad. It was against the Kings, where you lost 7-2. But other than that, they're pretty decently good games in those 2 other losses. But now you go into April, you got 9 games left. You have like 3 back-to-backs, which is absolutely insane. Like, who does the scheduling to have like Detroit, Boston, and then you would have the Rangers, Toronto in the last weekend of the regular season. Then it's Montreal, Ottawa to finish up you finish the season on a back-to-back in Canada. And that's right after you just did a back-to-back at home against the Rangers and the Maple Leafs. So, and those are the only 2 home games the entire month of April. So you know now, okay, you get the Capitals on Wednesday. That's your other home game for the entire month. This is the last home game of the current homestand. You have 2 more after that, but now you go on the road for 8 of the next 9. Essentially, it's what it really is. So going into the month like that, you go into the month of April. You just had a great month of March. You want to be hot, and I talked about on the Monday show. Power play is getting hot at the right time. They've scored 4. There's 4 games in a row they got a power play goal. No. Their road record's back to 16-3, and now like you said, you have 8 road games in April out of the 9. So now you're really setting yourself up to get your road record to where it needs to be right before you go into the playoffs. Because if most likely you're going to play New Jersey, you're going to have to get ready to go up there and face the Devils in their barn. You've been there, you've done that. You beat them already in the last couple playoffs. So you're setting yourself up to go and do that again. It's just, this is the right time where you want to get hot. And yeah, February wasn't a great month. It was a weird month overall, just because of the whole saga that was going on before the trade deadline. Like, you won 2 games. At least you ended on a high note, but it was just weird where you start off not so great. Then you have like 2 weeks off. Then Toronto and then Montreal were just not great games coming off that break, which the Hurricanes, for a reason, aren't really 100% coming out of a break like that. But March is definitely one where it's I guess you've seen it for the last couple seasons now. You go 11-3-1 last year. You go 11-3 this year. It's almost getting to the point where it's like, okay, maybe this is a trend for the Hurricanes, that no matter how February goes, it's almost good to know that once March hits, this is where the team hits its stride. And I know 2 seasons ago when we lost Andrei Svechnikov to NJ right after the trade deadline, March wasn't really the greatest, but it seems like last year when he was healthy, everything was fine. This year, Andrei Svechnikov was a little bit hurt, but comes back. But the team is rolling. I think this is the best depth we've had even compared to last year's team. I think the depth's been really well this year. And now you're seeing the fact you've gone back-to-back 11-win months in March. Like I said, it's only year 2, but if they do it again next year, in the 25-26 season, where you have another 11 wins in March, this is definitely where you're like, okay, this is the month where the Hurricanes really turn it on. And this is the one that you really want to do it, because it's, like I said, you want to get hot at the right time, and this is the right month for the Hurricanes to do, especially going into the playoffs, because now you're sitting, you're only 5 wins away from 50 on it for another, I think it was like 3 seasons in a row or something like that, where you're getting 50 wins, and then you're only 6 points away from another 100-point season. Once again, that's like, you're not that far out. You only need 3 more wins in the next 9 to hit 100. So that's really saying something for the Carolina Hurricanes, to where you're setting yourself up to have stellar seasons. And this is the time where you want to be a team that's not, you're not having to like struggle to get into the playoffs. You're kind of almost backdooring your way, or kind of leaking your way into the playoffs. You're setting yourself up to getting hot at the right time, going in at the right pace with the right mentality. Yeah, maybe you're not like the Islanders or the Canadiens or the Senators or the Blue Jackets or the Rangers, where you're in playoff mode already and there's still like 2-3 weeks of a regular season left, because now you're fighting for a wild card. Yeah, the intensity still needs to be there for the Carolina Hurricanes, but you're not in playoff mode already. You're still, trying to navigate the regular season. You're trying to stay healthy so you can be ready to go with a full squad going into the playoffs, and you're setting yourself up to potentially losing guys right before it. So this is a good spot to be in if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. and a really good spot to be in. Like I said already, their depth is definitely one that's really good to have. And one guy in particular has been really doing that for the Carolina Hurricanes in his first 10 games with the team, and that's Mark Jankowski. And we'll talk about him more here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKDOWNAHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNAHL for half off your first year. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Like I said at the end of segment 1, the one good thing about the Hurricanes is that their depth is really good this year. We've seen scoring up and down the lineup, guys who were maybe gotten cold. Then you've seen some guys farther down the lineup start scoring and taking over when they really needed to. And one guy in particular is Mark Jankowski. Ever since he got picked up by the Hurricanes at the trade deadline, which was, no one really knew about until the deadline was already over, because it was one of those late additions to our, there's so many backlogs of trades that still need to get called in and done for. He was definitely one of those guys, and the Hurricanes only gave up a 5th-round pick for him. And we all know that his debut game with the Canes, 2 goals against the Jets. Then later that week, 2 goals once again against the Flyers. And ever since then, he has been on an absolute tear for the Hurricanes. 7 goals in his first 10 games with the team, and it's tying a franchise benchmark for guys who've done it with this team in their first 10. He joins Eric Holla, Matt Cullen, Murray Craven, and John Anderson are the other 4 guys that scored 7 goals in their first 10 games with the Carolina Hurricanes, and now Mark Jankowski is one of them. I mean, everyone knows Matt Cullen, fan favorite, everyone loves him. And, Craven and Anderson, those are way back in the day. But the fact that Mark Jankowski, which I don't think anyone really knew, that 6'4" Jankowski was, a guy that they picked up very late as a pickup for a depth center, 4th-line center, for a 5th-round draft pick, was going to go absolutely off, but he has. And I can already tell that a lot of fans I think pretty much almost all Caniacs love this guy already, because he definitely fits the system where he plays a 200-foot game, a good defensive center, wins a lot of face-offs, is done well in the PKs, even seen some power play time as well, and he's got an absolute shot, which is crazy because in his first 40-something games with the Predators, he scored 4 goals. And now in his first 10, he scored 7 goals with the Hurricanes. And if you want to become a fan favorite already, that's one way to do it. And the fact, too, that he's making less than $1 million for the Hurricanes is an absolute steal. And on top of that, how about the fact that he's also signed through next season? It's also just it's mind-blowing of how Eric Tulsky and the Scouts are playing 5D chess. It's oh yeah, we're going to go grab Mark Jankowski at the very end of the deadline. He's a post-deadline, news break, because with the backlogs of, moves that are still coming in, get him for a 5th rounder. He's a depth piece, 4th-line center. There's nothing against Juha Jaska or Tyson Jost or any of those guys, but you wanted a center on your 4th line that's been there and done that. He's played, when he came to the Hurricanes, it was well over 390. He just played over 400 not that long ago, but, in a good spot to where he's already over 390 games played. He's been there, been around a little bit and stuff like that. So you're bringing this guy in who's got the experience in the NHL, a little bit more than the guys you kind of already had up here, because, with some injuries and trades and stuff like that, things definitely changed because Jack Drew's no longer with the team. Juha Jaska was okay. Tyson Jost is okay. But now you go get a guy who's been there, who's been in the NHL at least a good bit amount of time. Like I said, you're playing now. He's over 400 NHL games. This guy's a veteran. He knows what he's doing at this point. But to come in and have a scoring pace like he is, I don't think it's going to be like this all the time. But this is a pleasant surprise that I think pretty much every team would love to have. With the fact, okay, you get a guy who's got 4 goals in 40 games, and then his first 10 with the Hurricanes, you get his first 10 with his new team, you get 7. I think any team would love to have that. Just an instant impact guy who no one really thought would be an instant impact guy. Like, just because you're so used to like the bigger names, like when Timo Meier went to the Devils, when Bo Horvat went over to the Islanders, you just add certain name to certain guy who goes to a new team, and you're kind of hoping he's an instant impact of who he is as a player. But I don't think Mark Jankowski, I don't think anyone had him on their radar to do that. Like I said, this is not against Mark Jankowski. This is fantastic for the fact that you love to see that from him, where he's getting an opportunity to prove himself. And like I said, now he joins, like I said, a franchise favorite that everyone loved in Matt Cullen, and 3 other guys to be the 5th Hurricanes player to score 7 goals in his first 10 games. And like I said, you got him on a really great deal, less than $1 million. You only give him a draft pick, and you got him through next season as well. You're pretty much already putting in Sharpie of him being on your 4th line center next season. And that's not even including the fact that you got Sebastian Aho locked up long term. You got Jesperi Kotkaniemi locked up long term. And you still got Jordan Staal for another 3 seasons after this. And now you got Mark Jankowski as your 4th line center. That is a great center depth to have, and you don't got to worry about any of those guys next season. You already got them locked up at least through next year, and you got 3 of them locked up for multiple seasons. Who knows? If Mark Jankowski finishes this season out really well and he likes the area and the Hurricanes think, hey, we might have something with this guy, don't be surprised if you come July 1st and you see an extension where maybe they tack on another 2 seasons onto his contract, or maybe they go through next season to see how it goes, and maybe he gets a extension at the end of the 25-26 season. Who really knows? But Mark Jankowski is really putting himself into a good spot to where this might not be, hey, we're bringing in for the rest of this season and then next season, and then we'll see after that. This could be a, hey, we really like you. You fit in well. Let's lock you up for a little bit longer than just this season and next season. Let's get you past the 25-26 campaign. So Mark Jankowski is really putting himself into a good spot. And like I said, who would have thought that he would just come out of nowhere and be that guy for the Carolina Hurricanes? And like I said, I don't think anyone's ever really going to complain when you see a guy go out of his way to play that well and putting himself into a good spot, because he scored against the Islanders. He scored the first goal of the game against them to set up the 2 goals in 13 seconds with fellow new guy in Logan Stankoven. And now you're looking at Jankowski, where you will gladly take this if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, because you're talking about a guy who's got 7 goals in 10 games, no assists. He's a +6 this season. He was a even player for Nashville in the first 41 games. He's already at a +6. He's still only averaging 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Like, he's like not even averaging over 11 minutes a game, but he's still doing what he can to make the moments work. Like against the Islanders, 14 minutes and 40 seconds. That's the most he's done over the last 5 games, and even the most over his entire time with the Carolina Hurricanes. And get this, though. He's got 11 shots in 10 games and scored 7 goals. His shooting percentage is still 63.6%. In 10 games, he's only had 11 shots, but he's scored on 7 of them, which is insane to think about. His faceoff percentage, yeah, it's not over 50% like it usually has been, but 43.6, still pretty good overall for a Mark Jankowski who's still getting used to the system, still getting used to things, even though him getting used to it is scoring 7 goals in the process. So having his shooting percentage at 63.6, thank you. Not mad about it. You love to see it. Like I said, who knows? We could see a Mark Jankowski possibly getting himself a contract extension, because if he plays this well and fits in this great, and he's still a decent young guy, a little bit closer to the 30 range, but hey, you got him through next season. If you think you want to keep him, you want to extend him now this upcoming summer, great. If not, you want to wait until next summer, that's a good possibility too. But don't be surprised if you see Mark Jankowski longer than this current contract that ends in 25-26 with the Carolina Hurricanes. So going back to Sunday, we all know the Hurricanes won 6-4. We did hear from Seth Jarvis after the game, and he just had some amazing quotes. But what did his 2024 counterpart connection say as well? So stick around as we'll talk about hear from Sebastian Aho here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Hurricanes. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crackin, a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Like I said at the end of segment 2, we heard from Seth Jarvis on Monday's show. Well, let's hear from Sebastian Aho on Tuesday's show after the Hurricanes 6-4 win against the Islanders. So without further ado, let's jump into that right now.
Night that probably could have been a little bigger, especially with some of your breakaway chances, but had to feel pretty good, especially between the chemistry you and Jarvie had tonight.
Yeah, it was good. Created a lot of offense and obviously scored a few goals as well, so that was good.
The shorthanded chemistry you guys have is obviously pretty special. I know we talked a little about how your mindset is maybe different than what Jordo and Marty's mindset is, but it just continues to pay off for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. There's no really set plays on the PK. It's just Slavo knocks the puck down, and I end up getting it. And good talk by him. He's yelling time, and I have a time to turn and look. And obviously Jarvie's flying out there in the neutral zone, and just kind of easy pass, and then he took over and take the rest and put the nice shot in the net.
This was one of those nights where you needed to find another goal a couple of times. So in that respect, it's kind of nice to see guys like Orlov step up too.
Oh yeah, that was absolute bomb by him. I mean, he has a great shot, and yeah, I'm just happy to see him get one, and it was a huge goal at the time, and yeah, it wasn't pretty at times tonight. It was kind of a rough game, but you got to be able to win different ways, and yeah, that was one example that individual effort there to give us a goal.
A few years ago, you guys were trying to fight to get in the playoffs. Could you sense that from the Islanders tonight?
Absolutely, yeah.
Desperation?
Yeah, they were battling hard, so we were. We knew that they were going to come hard, and it's just we had to match it, and I think we did a pretty good job of match that desperation level, and yeah, hard fought game.
Gotten some power play goals lately from Taylor. Is it nice to have to get one yourself and have you guys kind of get going back in the right direction with that?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously always nice to score, and but yeah, it's just as a unit, you work there as a unit, and you can tell that we have scored few as of late, because we were feeling a little bit puck and making better plays, and yeah, it's just have a little bit of confidence there. So yeah, it's been good.
Big thank you for Sebastian Aho and the Carolina Hurricanes from that. And you heard it from him. And I think the one big key thing to talk about from this was the power play, where 2025 was really great for the power play for the most part. And then all of a sudden you get Taylor Hall coming in, and right off the rip from the road trip, he scores his power play goal against the Philadelphia Flyers, scores a couple more during that trip, and now you're looking at the team now towards the end of March, and now they've gotten 4 power play goals in their last 4 games all in a row. So, and Seth Jarvis even said to, hey, the power play is still pretty hot, and yeah, the power play is pretty hot right now. I think that, like I said earlier in segment 1, this is where you want to be hot at the right time when it comes to the special teams. The penalty kill is already great. They're already top 1. The power play was 27th. Now it's up to 25th. It's a little bit harder to get your power play to jump up really fast, unless you go on runs where you're scoring 2. Are you going 2 of 3? Are you going 2 of 4? Then that's where you kind of see it start going up a little bit faster. I feel like the PK is a lot hard. It's a lot easier to get your percentage to go up because the more you go 2 for 3, 3 for 3, or whatever. If you're longer 75% or higher, I think you're setting yourself up to have better PKs. But I think power plays are a lot tougher to move up. It's really easy to fall behind when you go 0 for 20 something so many times. That's really easy to start seeing your number diminish really fast. And that's when we saw Carolina go from top 10 at one point to 27th in the league. Yeah, they're up to 25, but you're talking like 1 of 4, 1 of 3, stuff like that, which, hey, you'll gladly take a power play goal because you definitely need it right now, especially when it's been struggling. But I wouldn't really worry about the placement right now and this late in the season. You got 9 games left. Okay, it is what it is. You're not going to be like, oh, well, they had a 15th, top 15 power play in the league. I don't think the Hurricanes are going to get 15. If they finish top 20, that'd be great. But at this point, placement doesn't really matter anymore because we know, like, once it's in the playoffs, it's a completely different animal. But as long as you're being more consistent, I don't think that the Hurricanes are going to go on an absolute tear and be 13 games in a row with a power play goal. If you count the 4 that they've already done in the next 9 games, I don't see them going 13 in a row for power play goals. It'd be great, but I just don't see that happening because you have to have an unreal power play to do that. But let's say you got 9 games left. If you get at least 5, if you at least get 5 more power play goals in the next 9 games, okay, that's great. Then you went 9 for 13, including the 4 they're already on, including these other 9 games coming up. You can go 9 for 13 in games with a power play goal. That's still pretty good overall to go 9 games out of 13 with a power play goal at least. Then fine. Then you're setting yourself up to have a good playoff run. That's what you really need to do right now. Like I said, I would love to go 13 in a row. I just don't see it happening. But if you go 9 games out of 13 where you are doing that, then fantastic. Great. You're setting yourself up to have a good thing. So it's, like I said, rankings in the power play department at this point of the season, it doesn't matter. They're not going to get, like I said, they're not going to get a high mark. But as long as it's clicking to where, okay, it's manageable, it's one that you can kind of be, okay, it's not going to be rough watching the power play. It's actually going to be good. That's what that's what needs to be looked on. And I think that's where you're kind of looking at for the Carolina Hurricanes is, yeah, wasn't great. Wasn't great for the most part for 2025. But at the end of March, middle of March, since the 15th, they've been on a run recently. So, hey, you're talking 16 days at the end of the month and you've gone off really well. You'll take that. You'll definitely take that when it comes to going into the playoffs very, very soon. So, hey, we'll definitely take that. It's just, like I said, you want to get hot at the right time for your power play, get hot at the right time on your road trips, because we all know those are the 2 big key components when it comes to the playoffs and how you want to be successful. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Carolina Hurricanes do. But we got 9 more games left. First one's on Wednesday against the Washington Capitals to kick off the month of April. And you got 3 back-to-backs in the last 4 games over a 6-day span is 2 back-to-backs. It'll definitely be interesting to see how the Hurricanes do, but April should be a fun month to wrap up the regular season, which is crazy to think there were less than 10 games left in the regular season before we get to the playoffs. So it'll definitely be a fun one to watch for sure. Well, guys, that will be a Tuesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making your first listen today. If you're second listen, want to check out Locked On NHL, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to keep up with me, I'm at OneTrueZach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin, where I do have links in both my bios to my link tree where you can check out my articles at thehockeywriters.com for anything Carolina Hurricanes. AHL is at theCalderTimes.com. By chance you want to check out my baseball stuff? Well, it's coveringthecorner.com at SB Nation talking about the Cleveland Guardians. If you want to check out my other podcasts, well, it's the Searchcast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For Locked On Hurricanes, well, Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio. Follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, well, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe. Hit the bell notifications so you don't miss a show. Hit the thumbs up to let me know if you liked the show as well. Share with other Canucks to become everydayers just like you. But I hope everyone enjoyed this Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Enjoy your Tuesday. Until next time, as always, let's go Canes.